So here we are, this is my last check-in of the 3-day trip to Paris with Shiraz, who's acting as cameraman right now, and here we are back where we started at Gare de Norde. And of course, from a personal perspective, there's a lot of memories here for the McCallum family. This is the station that my grandfather smuggled himself into when he was escaping from Belgium 70 years ago in 1943. Here we are 70 years on, my grandfather's passed on, we've got his memoirs, and rather than just reading his memoirs, I now get to be in the location. You know, he escaped over the border from Belgium, smuggled himself onto a train in France, which came in late at night, I think about 11 o'clock at night in 1943. This was occupied by German army all over the place. So let's go to the entrance on the left-hand side of the station where my grandfather made his bold bid for freedom and tried to outrun the Germans and into the night. And let's pick up his story. So here we are outside the left of the station. You can see just through the doors there some of the left-hand platforms, one of which my grandfather sidled over to, vaulted some barriers and made his bid for freedom in the streets of Paris. I want to read to you just 3 paragraphs from his memoirs of when he was in this station 70 years ago, surrounded by Germans. So, it must have been just before midnight when the train arrived at the Gare de Norde, Paris. I thank my lucky stars for the low platforms, and this enabled me with ease to pass over to the next platform, which was quiet and unattended. However, much to my chagrin, I realised that there was still the main station hall to negotiate. For unlike the British railway stations, where once you're off the platform, there is no further examination of tickets, the Gare de Norde this time, during the war, had barriers with turnstiles to be negotiated. Wehrmacht officers and men manned all the exits across the main hall for the sole purposes of examining every passenger's papers. I thought, I've had it. For while I was observing the scene, I could see that all the sorties which were in operation, railway staff collected the tickets while the German military carefully checked the documents of all the people who were exiting through the main concourse of the station. I was aware that there was some sort of curfew imposed, probably midnight. However, I had no option but to look for a suitable turnstile, not in use, and I headed towards the extreme left-hand side of the barrier, which stretched across the entire width of the main hall of the Gare de Norde. And that's the left-hand corner there, the platforms he sidled over to. My plan was at an appropriate moment to jump the turnstile and dash into the yawning mouth of darkness, which I could see at the main entrance to the station, and disappear into the streets of Paris. So let's just get a wee shot of some of these streets of Paris that he was challenged to make his escape into. And as he says, my opportunity arose when during a lull in train arrivals, the German soldiers congregated in a group, chatting and smoking. I hesitated momentarily and then edged towards the turnstile farthest away, climbed over it and ran as fast as I could, my shoes clattering on the ground with what seemed deafening noise. I was swallowed up in the black outside the station. To this day, I do not know whether I was seen. There was no gunfire. Whether I was pursued, I'll never know. All that mattered to me was the fact I had made it. I kept on running through the dark streets of Paris until I felt I was a safe distance from the station. I then slowed down and began to stroll through the blackness of Paris, searching for a small, quiet hotel or boarding house. In a sense, luck was with me because it was so quiet and there was almost no one around, giving me the opportunity to patiently search for what I wanted. Then I eventually found in a quiet side street a small hotel which inconspicuously displayed in the corner of one of its windows English spoken here. And that was the start of my grandfather connecting with the underground and the journey that took him through Paris to his eventual escape months and months later through the Pyrenees into Spain, back to Gibraltar, back to Britain.